It has been a long time since we've seen the right-hander from Oregon on TV. This day starts with a strike, some help on the 7-pin, all the way back to last year's ABC Masters, which he won his first ever career title. Speaking of first ever TV shot comes up now for Joe-Ciccone from Buffalo, originally from Skaneateles, New York, near Syracuse. Joe and I go way back to the time he was a teenager working as a statistician on the TV show we did at Channel 3 in Syracuse. He's come a long way, Randy. Now, first ever ball here today.
Joe-Ciccone, just a fountain of knowledge for our sport. He's truly a bowling historian.
TV career starts a little high, and the 7-pin for Joe C.
That wasn't even close.
It's a good shot, considering his first ever under the lights. Leaves a solid 7.
You know the kind of nerves he's going through right now. Here you see the single pin conversion rate in match play. Joe, perfect, along with Walter A. Williams Jr. and Robert Smith. Steve Smith and Bryon-Smith, the 5 finalists today in Tucson, leading us to the Baby Ruth Real Deal matchup, Randy.
Big numbers. Check out the averages and the strike percentage. Today will be no different. This week's lane conditions very conducive to high scores. You can see what Joe has done when he won. And look at his average and losses, almost 40-pin difference. This week it was pretty much all or nothing in match play.
He's got some tape on that right index finger. It's shaking a little bit, Randy. He's got to be nervous. You know, first ever TV appearance. You remember yours, I'm sure. Into the pocket. And a first TV strike for Joe-Ciccone, who usually spends TV Sundays as our scorekeeper in our production truck. He moves out to the lanes today.
Nice soft stroke. Joe can play the lanes a couple of different ways. He can go straight and hard if he wants. He can throw the slow loop. Decided to go to the slow loop. That ball was nice. Nice and soft, perfect in the pocket.
One of the 2 Smiths. It's Bryon. We have on our show here today in Tucson. Different path to the pocket for Bryon-Smith. And a big strike.
Bryon-Smith going with his A game, which is nice and firm and direct, a lot of ball speed. This week we had a lot of friction on the lanes.
Beat Joe-Ciccone last night here in Tucson in the round of 8. But Joe was the wild card because he was the highest qualifier among the round of 8 losers last night. That was potentially a very close match between Bryon-Smith and Joe. At 2-1, Joe had a shot to even the match, but ended up falling in 5. Yes! Right at that pocket again, direct line. Playing straight at the 1-3 pocket, and Smith strikes again.
6-pin goes to the sidewall, behaves properly, takes the 10 out. And that was the ticket this week. If you could get the corner pins out, you were going to bowl big games because it was fairly easy to get to the pocket.
Joe-Ciccone, first ever ready to win the National Collegiate Bowler of the Year honor twice in a career. It has been done once since. At Erie Community College in Buffalo, New York in '94. Then at Arizona State, not far from where we are here. About 110 miles or so. In Tempe, Arizona. We are in Tucson today. That was in '97 when he was the National Player of the Year at that level.
You can see what Joey's done this week. Took out Mika Koivuniemi in 5 games. And he is the wild card because the highest qualifier to lose in the round of 8.
74 career events without a win for Joe-Ciccone, and now on TV for the first time.
Joe's actually using a finger grip. It's a modified finger grip on his index finger because of the big blister he's got on the inside part.
Yeah, showed us that finger last night in the meetings, and it was pretty beaten up. He is on the money with that last strike ball.
This week, friction to the right. Watch this ball look like somebody kicks it left right into the 1-3. Perfect shot. This match all even after 4. However, Bryon-Smith perfect. 3 strikes in a row.
Joe has had to hasten his approach and delivery a little bit. Last night we were watching the round of 8. Things a little slow for Joe. But he's had to speed things up to avoid that shot clock violation we have on TV. Back to Bryon-Smith. And one more time in the pocket.
Sweet.
Last year at the Masters, Bryon-Smith again, his A game. Watch this, nice and firm and direct. right around the first arrow. Although the lane's not as forgiving at the Masters as they were this week, check this out. Just a board or two left of that, same result. Boy, and it's nice when you can use your A game. You don't have to try to manufacture a ball reaction.
He's been red hot. Looks for number 12 in a row. This from a bowler who had completely had his confidence shattered just a couple of weeks ago.
Yes!
Bakers does it for Bryon-Smith. Says everything was falling apart for him as you see Ciccone down by 20 pins, but works on a strike and a 4-bagger, chance to make it a 10-pin match. For Bryon, back to a sports psychologist he had used at the University of Oregon to help get the mental focus back in line, and it's worked.
He said 2 weeks ago he absolutely hated bowling. He was down mentally. All it takes out here on the PBA Tour is 1 week to turn yourself around.
60 feet to success. First time we can say that in Joe-Ciccone's career on TV.
Beautiful shot. And your first time on TV, it certainly helps when you have some room to get to the pocket. This shot is perfect. Watch it coming right at you. 5-pin goes into the 8. Perfection there.
Great look from our crew, led by Mike Roth, our producer. Happy birthday to Mike tomorrow. 37, can it be? Oh.
Happy birthday, Mike Roth.
Our director, Scott Katz, as usual. Our great crew here, live coverage on ESPN of the PBA Tour as we march toward that World Championship. Just a few weeks down the road now. On lane 11. Oh, getting some late help. He is red hot. Great match, all even. Smith, Ciccone, Wildcard continues next. 55, 70 degrees, green grass, cactus. Great out here. All even. Speaking of great, in the wild card match in Tucson. Welcome back to the desert, everyone. Dave Ryan, Randy Peters, along with our great PBA crew here on ESPN's live coverage of the tour. Big numbers possible today. Walter A. Williams Jr., we'll see him later, Randy, in the show, said possibility today for not one, but maybe 2 300 games on Patterson, big scores, and maximum Bob. Robert Smith throws so hard.
Robert Smith, the last time we saw him, he won on Patterson the first tournament of the year in Omaha. The last time we bowled on Patterson was Windsor Locks, Connecticut, and we know what happened there. Mika Koivuniemi bowling a perfect 300 game. Today, we only have one non-strike. That was the first frame when Joe-Ciccone left the 7-pin.
Pattern E, it's shorter. Why is it so beneficial for higher numbers?
Because Pattern E plays exact opposite of what happened last week. Dry outside, oil inside. It's like bumpers to the outside part of the lane. Whether you're going straight or you're hooking it, that ball is going to get to that friction spot and find its home to the 1-3 pocket.